Well, Derek Piper joined us live from Ballpark Village, opening day. But of course, that is of all days, Derek. Illinois gets a 5-star commitment. You're first on the beat. I was just thinking about this. Cliff Alexander, Jalen Brunson. We've been through so many potential 5-star commits. And this one kind of happens pretty quickly. Skyy Clark to Illinois.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge one, huge milestone for Brad Underwood and really for Illini Inquirer since we've been covering the beat. So, yeah, I know we had Tom Brady unretire on Selection Sunday. Skyy Clark commit on opening day. We need to stop this. This is a bad trend, but I think Illini fans will be all right with the distraction of baseball, and it's a huge one. And like you said, he opens things up early March. There have been rumblings really for a while and about Skyy possibly getting out of his letter of intent with Kentucky, and the fact that he had a long-standing relationship with Tim Anderson going back to when he was 8th grade, and he had committed to DePaul at that point in time. So someone that's a 24 composite 5-star guard, whether you look at the 24/7 rankings, composite rankings overall, he's the number 5 point guard in the class. And Brad Underwood has done a fantastic job of reeling in high-level guard talent. He's just the next in line, and now makes this a top 10 class nationally for the first time in more than a decade. So really ties a bow on this fantastic haul. When you talked about the changing the guard in the backcourt, and you have Clark and Sincere Harris, Jaden Epps coming in. Of course, Ty Rodgers is a part of that mix as well. That's 4 top 100 guys. And it's just a really, really impressive display of being able to get talent. And we can talk more about this, but it's funny. And it goes back to the reflection of the offseason. And Brad was cool, calm, and collected and tried to tell everybody it was going to be okay and said he was going to go do it again. Well, he cut down nets again for a Big Ten title. He assembled a really good staff again, and now he assembles a very, very good recruiting class, which is now his best during his tenure at Illinois.
Yeah, so many threads I have to pull here, Derek. Number one is we've talked about the Cliff Alexanders, the Jalen Brunsons, or some of these 5-stars they went after. It was a long process, right? This one, he gets out of his letter of intent in March, and we're not naive to know that there's rumblings of this happening and there's back channels and all those things. But how did Illinois, at least publicly, so quickly, how are they able to land Skyy Clark in a talent like him?
I think it does start with the end of a Tim Alexander. And that's not to say that Illinois hasn't had ends in the past in terms of relationships or being able to get right towards the top group. I mean, a lot of the guys we've talked about, even the Jalen Brunson, Cliff Alexander, you're right in there until the very, very end. So I think it starts with Tim and that relationship, the fact that Tim has such a well-known pedigree of working with guards. I mean, he's worked with Derrick Rose. He's worked with other guys that have been pros. And you pair that with just the more attractiveness and appeal of Illinois as a basketball program and what they've done with Sumu, the fact that this is an offense for Brad Underwood that is very guard-oriented. They like to play in transition. And now with the opportunity of losing Trent Frazier and losing Plummer and DeMonte, they were still going to recruit Skyy regardless of Andre Curbello's decision. I think he could have played with him, and because he is versatile, to play a little bit on or off the ball. But the fact that Illinois is winning at a high level, the fact that they have somebody now that they've put in the NBA, you tie that in with Tim Anderson's connection, and just I think the opportunity makes sense. I think the appeal makes sense, and the fact that Illinois had an immediate in when he opened things up allowed them to skip Pride to the front of the line, and for them to go down and have an in-home visit with him, what's now, I think, a week and a half ago or maybe 2 weeks ago now, did really well with that, obviously, the connection with the family, and he's able to walk in right away and have a ton of opportunity in front of him and be able to achieve a lot of things that he wants to get to the next level and to win at a high level in college.
Well, Derek, obviously, when you're the first 5-star at Illinois since D. Brown, there will be very high expectations. He is still very highly ranked despite suffering a torn ACL. So what does he bring to Illinois, especially in the short term? Because if healthy, and he seems to be healthy right now, still ramping up the strength, he's going to be a big part of this team right away.
He's a really gifted scorer. That's the first thing that really stands out about him is just the multitude of ways that he can go get a bucket. He's a 3-level scorer. He gets the rim and finish. He's got good size, be able to finish through contact. You haven't quite seen on that note of coming off the ACL. Haven't seen the same level of explosiveness. Now, he wasn't a freak athlete before this in terms of the injury, but a guy that certainly can go up and throw it down. His mid-range game is very smooth, and that's really just kind of what the word I would use to describe his entire game. Just everything is very smooth and in rhythm for him. He does a really good job of creating off the bounce. Like his dribble moves are very, very good. His handle, the way he uses hesitation to blow by guys, and also just set up his jump shot, which is just silky. Like he can shoot it well from three, he can shoot it well from the mid range. And I think that as you look at the fit, and it will be interesting to see the way that they approach the rest of this offseason, I still think that a veteran ball handler in the mix, whether that's going to be a starter or someone they would bring off the bench, makes sense just to pair with Jaden Epps and to pair with Skyy Clark. But regardless, they know that Skyy is best with the ball in his hands a lot of times. Not that with his jump shot he can't make an impact as a spot-up shooter, but I think scoring-wise right away he's going to be able to make an impact. We do know that freshmen, even as talented as I would assume or other guys in that range, as well as Skyy, sometimes struggle a little bit as freshmen. And I do think that getting him back into 100% capacity physically is important. And that's something that's going to have to play out here throughout the summer and whatnot. But I see scoring. He does have size at 6'3" to defend some of those bigger guards. But I think it really just is being able to go get a bucket. It's really the same thing for Jaden Epps. Now, can they get somebody to set those guys up and be a complementary piece? But we knew that Trent Frazier had a big load on his shoulders in terms of offensive production. Alfonso Plummer is a shot maker. Whether or not Kofi Coburn comes back, they're going to have some scoring punch in the backcourt. And really, if you're looking at it from a bigger picture beyond this season, there's a lot to like if you were to get, say, Skyy Clark for 2 years and have Epps as a sophomore, Harris in that mix. There's just a lot of talent back there.
I was going to ask that as the follow-up, Derek, is you knew you were losing Frazier. You knew you were losing Plummer and DeMonte Williams. You thought you could lose Andre Curbelo more to the NBA in the portal, but Illinois was prepared to have a huge backcourt reset. Looks pretty good when you have 3 guys that are top 110 recruits, 2 guys that are top 60, a 5-star in there. Skyy Clark, Jaden Epps, Sincere Harris. What's the future? What can that backcourt accomplish? How do they all fit together with Illinois moving forward?
I think if they're able to stay together for 2 or 3 years, Skyy is a 5-star guy. If he's able to get back to be as quick twitch and explosive as he was before, maybe he's not someone that sticks around too long. Maybe 2 years would be ideal for him. And Jaden Epps is probably a 3-4 year player. I mean, he's kind of undersized a little bit as a combo guard. Both him and Clark are scoring guards first and foremost. I think as you see them mature, they will get better at helping their teammates, raise the level of their game and get them open shots and everything. But I do like how they fit together because Epps is a smaller, tough bucket getter that has the burst off the dribble, and with Clark, he's smooth and he's a little bit bigger size, 6'3", and can score in the mid range and score from 3. And those two intertwine. They don't need the ball in their hands to be able to make an impact. Can really play off each other. I think that as Brad Underwood gets back to playing at a faster pace going forward, I think that both those guys, and maybe you could throw Sincere Harris in that mix as well, being able to push it in transition and not necessarily have, one guy is going to be our primary facilitator, the guy that we're going to run on offense through every possession. And on that note, Harris being, I think he's in that 6'3", 6'4" range. He's got length. He's got athleticism. I like the fact that he's a two-way player. I look at him as a very pesky on-ball defender. I think he can really get into people. That he plays with a competitive edge. That's something that really vibes well with Chester Frazier, his lead recruiter, and Brad Underwood as well. And I like that he can do some things off the dribble too. And I think that as you progress forward, it's been kind of a big narrative this offseason of look at some other teams around the country, those that are succeeding in the NCAA tournament. It's having kind of multi-dimensional guards, multiple guys that can get their own shot, multiple guys that can get to the rim, and just being able to shoot the three at multiple positions as well. So I think that those 3 guys can all do that together. And if they are able to progress forward, and I think as freshmen they can make impacts. I think that probably Epps and Clark maybe more so in terms of playing time right away. It'll depend on if Illinois gets a big guard like a Brandon Murray, who they're bringing in for a visitor, or Terrence Shannon. But long term, those guys can be a fantastic trio and really huge building blocks for your program.